multi-billion-dollar company, and they finally called a consultant and asked him to come and find their problem. So the consultant goes to the factory and spends a few days there looking at things and standing around, and is dressed well and had a bit of a chart. Finally, he climbs up to a gauge, takes out his black marker, puts an X on it. He climbs down and he says, "That's your problem. Change that gauge and everything will work the way it used to. The problem will be solved." Gets on a plane or a jet, flies back where he came from, and sends the company an invoice. Manager looks at it, looks at his email and sees the invoice, says $10,000. Well, that seemed very high to be standing around and go put on an X on a gauge. So then he sends an email back asking to break down that invoice that he knew where and what the costs all were. So he gets an email or a reply back how the invoice was split up, and it says $1 for X on gauge, and then $9,999 for knowing which gauge to put the X on. I didn't repeat the story word for word, but that's how I remember it. And it just exactly what I have learned. And it seemed to, that small story explained it so well in my mind. Without them knowing where that the gauge was the problem, without them knowing that, they have already lost a lot of money with productivity. So without them knowing the thing to fix, therefore they won't be fixing it until they find what they need to fix, which was that gauge where you put the X on. And that cost them a lot more than $10,000 already before they hired this guy to do it, the consultant to come over, and would have cost them a lot more to try to find it themselves. So hiring a consultant is a good thing, especially when it gives you the solution and takes away the cost and brings in a profit.